it's Janet Wakeland with Remarkably Created, and I want to thank everyone for joining us on this Facebook Live today. Take a few moments and give yourself a shout out. And if you love pretty papers, you are in the right place. We're going to take a look at some fun ideas for mixing and matching Stampin' Up's beautiful papers. And this is just one of the fun examples of what I'm going to share with you that you're going to see at the end of the video. So let's move our sweet little gnome off to the side and let's talk about papers. If you're familiar with Stampin' Up at all, you know that Stampin' Up has beautiful designer papers as well as specialty papers. Specialty papers are papers that have a little bit of extra on them, whether it's dazzling glimmer or foils, or it's a type of vellum. Here's our, here we go, vellum or flocking. So they're special, they have a little extra. So think of the word special, think of a little extra. And our designer papers simply are beautiful print papers that are double-sided. One of the cool things about Stampin' Up's papers is that the colors in them do coordinate with all of our beautiful inks, all of our markers, our refills, our solid cardstocks, so they're amazing in that way. In addition, our designer papers are usually designed with a specific stamp set or what we call a suite of products in mind. And then our specialty papers are designed to enhance that year's offering of papers. So one of the things that I like to do is offer my customers a chance to purchase what I call a sampling. Instead of committing to one full pack of 12 by 12 designer paper, it's a chance to get a 6 by 6 sampling of those papers, which means that you can have a much greater variety in your crafting studio and a lot more inspiration. And you don't have to worry too much about unused packs. What do I do with pieces and things like that? But even so, even if we're just doing a small sampling, we always still seem to end up with paper pieces that we don't use, aren't sure of, things like that. Or a lot of times when we buy a pack of paper, we tend to use those papers just together, right? We don't expand out of that pack of paper. Unless, again, it's some of those extra type papers that are our specialties, which are designed to kind of work almost as a partner or an embellishment. So what I did a couple of weeks ago is I had an extra designer paper share from the annual catalog as well as from the recent holiday catalog. And I literally just sat down with them and I just started playing and I just started looking for combinations of paper that looked good together. I didn't worry what pack they came from or anything like that. I just wanted to find new, fresh partners of paper, if that makes sense. Pairings that would look really good together. And so in this case, we have the Rings of Love from Celebration, and we have the gingham paper. And look how beautiful those look together. In that same vein, this is from the rings, and then we have these festive foils, and then look how that pulls the yellows out of that one. Another fun one that I came up with, and you'll see me making samples out of these. This was actually a foursome. So we have this beautiful from the Chic paper. Then we have our beautiful imprinted paper from the annual catalog. We have our flocked vellum and then our velvet. And you can see just how pretty these are going to be when I put them together for some holiday cards. One of the benefits of doing this with your paper, sitting there and just kind of playing with it just a little bit if you've got some scraps, is you're going to be more likely to use your papers and you're going to see the value of the papers that you bought, and you're going to pull yourself out of a creative rut. Sometimes we kind of get in a rut of, oh, I've been making the same thing, or all my cards look alike. And so when you just grab yourself a stack of papers and start, just kind of like for me, what I started with, and you'll see the results of some of those samples in a minute, as I just started playing with pieces. That's the first place I went. And immediately I was inspired, both with color combinations that came out of them, and then the pairing of textures and things like that, and just something that I hadn't done before. So that really influenced me playing with pieces like that. Let's see if we can find a few more here. So here, looking, for example, we've got this one here, which is both from the same pack, but normally look at that with the trees because you've got the colors. So I'll look for colors that match. I'll look for a print that matches. I'll look for a style that looks great together. So, and here's another example. Let me pull this one off to the side. This is from our host paper. Look at all the fun colors. This is from the Hues of Happiness, but it's all the colors that are in this paper right here. So again, going through your scraps and looking, and literally just, you know, grab a cup of coffee, grab your scraps, and you can literally start to plan ahead with some of the fun ideas. This is our Painted Christmas. Look at the beautiful snowflakes. And this is from He's the Man. How much fun is that, right? And so as I sat and played, I found more and more of those types of combinations, right? This is from our gnomes, our sweet little gnomes. And again, we're back to He's the Man. Look at that. Pulling those papers out that sometimes we think, oh, I bought that for Father's Day, and we put it away. Back to the plaid. You're going to find the plaid one of the most versatile packs in the catalog. Let me give you just a few more fun ideas that I kind of came across as I was working. Of course, reds and greens always go together. But look at this beautiful poinsettia, and then look at the plaids. And you could also even tuck in a little fa la la. So kind of playing around with those looks as well. And let's get down here for just a minute. I've just kind of got them all together. So look at this beautiful, okay, we know the flowers from Hues of Happiness, right? This is from the lovely pack of paper, which I have barely touched. And so now when I found this combination, it really pulls the leaves out. And then you add a touch with the green that you think is just for the holidays. Just think of that wow anniversary card, that wow thinking of you, or birthday card for that special friend. But by the same token, let's get rid of the flowers. And then look at that beautiful card too. Isn't that just amazing? And so again, just grabbing your scraps. Here's 3 from the wonderful pack in the celebration. That's the trees that you saw over here a minute ago. But now let's take our mind off of trees and fall and all of that, and look at how this just works together, okay? And just kind of playing around. You guys are gonna have so much fun looking at these prints. Look at these 3 together, or these 4. This just screams that it needs, you know, like the apple that we have, or some kind of really pretty flower or something. But isn't that just gorgeous? That's just such a pretty color combination. We can also now then toss this into it, and we could toss this into the mix. So sometimes it's more than just 2 colors that you want to use on your papers. You want to use 3, 4, or 5, or you're doing a scrapbook layout or some kind of art. But the golds kind of pull that together, but the tones all work together. And again, sometimes you want to be matchy-matchy and you want to be exactly calypso coral on calypso coral, but then sometimes you want to tone it down a little bit and stay within the color families. And in this case, adding some of our petal pinks and our golds and things like that. So that's kind of just another way for you to look at that and think about it. Here we have our really pretty Abigail rose, and we're back to the plaids. If you've not looked at these plaid papers, you really need to. Okay, so we've got our lemons from the tea paper, and this is from the butterflies. So that's really fun together. Or we can decide to do it this way, and we're back to that holiday designer paper that's available. Best deal going, guys, 40 sheets of paper in that. This is from that host pack as well. And then look at how much fun that is when we pair it with the ho ho ho. So you kind of get the idea, guys, about just how much fun. Back to the plaids. I mean, you need these plaids, guys, trust me. They're a great accent paper. So you're gonna have a lot of fun when you just really start getting those scraps out and just laying them down next to each other. And then what I did was I just set them aside as I matched them up, and then I used them to inspire the card. So let me give you some ideas, and let me show you a little bit of what I did. The cards aren't fully glued because I want to be able to show you the back side so that you can indeed see the different types of paper. Using our sweet little gnome dies. Oh my gosh, this little gnomey is so addictive. This paper is from the coordinating bundle of paper that works with the stamps and the gnome dies. The paper down here on the bottom, it's a kind of the same gray granite. as the leaves are, but it is actually from that sunlight, okay? So you can see totally different pack, but it pulls it together. Oops, sorry about that. And then one of the really cool, nice things about, as I mentioned, Stampin' Up! Solid coordinating packs, how well they work together, so I can pull the colors of the paper into my cardstock. So that's another great one for you. You saw that Ho 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 paper? So if we flip it over, it is the Santa Express paper and the plaid. Here you can see just a tiny bit of that plaid. And Ho Ho Ho, just adding a little bit of border to break up that print. And then we used a little bit of that vellum paper with the flock dots, again, just to add a little bit more to that. And then in this case, we had to add a little pom-pom because our little gnome is going to act as Santa. Another way to compare and contrast your papers is to create a window and to allow that paper to contrast. This is our beautiful autumn paper, and then it has the Lights Aglow paper, which is what is used in this background here. And then we used our metallic foils for the witch's hat, okay? Here's another one. In this case, we've got our Santa Express, and then, oops, this is our Sweet Abigail Rose paper. So look how pretty that is, and a little non-traditional. Added some little dies, and we'll go back and we'll add greetings and we'll glue them all together and finish them up and take pictures for you. Sometimes you just want the teeniest, tiniest border to break up your image. In this case, I really wanted to preserve these beautiful, I think they're zinnias, and the butterflies, but I wanted just a little something down here at the bottom. And in this case, that's that beautiful autumn paper. And then this is from the host pack. But again, just kind of playing around, guys, and that little extra border really helps. So you can also mix your foils with matte, so mix and match those pieces here. And in this case, we just cut on an angle and let that color break it up, and we'll add a greeting and pop it up. But for these papers here, you do have our Splendid Day paper. And then look at that, that's holiday paper. What a really good idea. This idea is a really good one for seasonal papers, okay? Because we really, seasonal papers once, you know, Halloween, fall, the Christmas holidays, Easter, anything that, you know, Valentine's, the reason for the theme of the paper is over, we tend to not use them. And so in this case, look how pretty that themed paper is on here. Little tip, this sweet little border, I have been having so much fun using the elements in the gingerbread dies for borders, snow hills, and things like that. I haven't built a single gingerbread house yet. I'm just playing with all the pieces in a lot of other different ways. So just a little version for you. Another way to use your paper and your scraps and to take that idea where you have 3 or 4 that coordinate is just to create strips across your card. No other layering here. I just spaced it just a little bit. I believe these are about 1.25 inches across. And then I just allowed a little bit of that cardstock to show through that kind of boring end. I just wrapped twine a couple times around. But you've got your plaid, your holiday paper, and then we blinged it up just a little bit. Sometimes you have a piece of designer paper that you want an edge for. And maybe you don't own the right color cardstock. You don't have the right color cardstock in your stash. You can do that with a more dense print, I guess, more complete print, not one that would be open, for example, like this, but more like this. So one that's not as busy of a print, more of a solid print, if that makes sense. And so in this case, I have a piece of paper from He's All That, or He's the Man, and it's going to create that edge around this piece here that has just a hint of copper to it, keeping those pretty browns together. And then here's yet another one that we'll be finishing up for you. And this one here, we're drawing on, again, those foils from Splendid Day, but I didn't want a whole lot of foils. I love that this print kind of looks a little bit like hearts. And this print is actually from our Forest Friends. And then the amazing, it was tone on tone. And the amazing is the reverse side of these foils. So grab your stack of scraps, grab yourself of 6x6s, or contact me for my paper shares if you want a nice stack of all of the Stampin' Up! Specialty papers and papers to be playing with so that you can be working with your papers to really get the most out of them, mixing and matching them. Yes, they are designed to coordinate, be part of great suites, and that is, oh, sorry about that, one of the positives of Stampin' Up's papers, products, and suites. But the other positive is they work with so many other things in the entire product line. So have some fun creating. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.